So on this episode of the Hypocritical Democrat Hour, I'm going to show to you how it ceases to amaze me, and it never fails, that when they're screaming about something that Trump is doing, they once either supported it or they're actually doing it, and they're projecting. It is religiously done from the Democratic side of the aisle, and I hate that. It's horrible, but that is the methodology they have chosen, and I fail to see how it's benefited them at all, because it's literally what has led to them having lost the last election majorly. So you guys just watch and formulate your own opinion, obviously. I would appreciate any feedback.
We simply must make the cuts in waste, fraud, and abuse in Medicare so that the benefits and the premiums are untouched. We owe it to our seniors. We owe it to our country.
Yes, you do have to cut some programs. I think there's waste out there. I think there are programs that can and should be cut.
Again, we all agree we have to get rid of waste, fraud, abuse, duplication, obsolescence, and the rest. The GAO has given us a blueprint for that, and we subscribe to that. We all agree that we must reduce the deficit.
There's tremendous waste in government, and I think any Democrat who ignores the lessons, the lessons of those who voted, the lessons of the last election, makes a mistake. The people did want government to cut out the waste and to shrink.
Reform is not an option. It's a necessity.
The American people are entitled to transparency.
We can't sustain a system that bleeds billions of taxpayer dollars on programs that have outlived their usefulness or exist solely because of the power of politicians, lobbyists, or interest groups.
They're entitled to be able to figure out where their dollars are going, and they're entitled to accountability to make sure that we're using the dollars for what we said it was for.
We are going to go through our federal budget, as I promised during the campaign, page by page, line by line, eliminating those programs we don't need and insisting that those that we do need operate in a sensible, cost-effective way. What should be easy is getting rid of the pointless waste and stupid spending that doesn't benefit anybody.
We hope to be instilling an entire new culture that not only our administration, but every succeeding administration will in fact pursue.
No amount of waste is acceptable, not when it's your money.
So, I mean, there you have it. It's uncanny how what Doge is doing right now, what they're presently doing. Granted, I also am a person who feels that they need to slow it down a little bit. I mean, when you're firing people that you quickly learn are actually essential, that you need to pump the brakes. You need to come at a slower pace. You know, they're wide open. Just it's balls out. It's ridiculous. But I understand how they're trying to actually accomplish what they said they were going to do, what Trump said he was going to do, and he's trying to have a showing of that, and come at it with unshakable resilience. And you still need to give pause at times, but Democrats, I mean, come on. This is just, the earliest one was about 15 years ago, earliest clip with Nancy Pelosi, and they're touting the same things. You see, the problem is with and this happens on both sides of the aisle, where they make these promises, these campaign promises of what they're going to do, what they're not going to do, and they end up lying. They end up doing the shit they said they were going to do and not completely getting done what they promised they would get done, if anything at all. And that's normally what campaigns consisted of, was mudslinging based on that. Now it's just turned into a bunch of ridicule and name-calling, a bunch of childish Mickey Mouse BS, which I also disagree with. But Doge is literally trying to accomplish what the Democrats have said for years that they wanted to do. But no one's done it. No one's pulled the trigger on it. So, you go back to this footage. This is why I made the statement earlier that this is what has led to the Democrats losing this election majorly. It didn't matter who they propped up in front of the American people. See, they messed up on a multitude of levels. I'm not going to go fully in depth on that. I've heard people say, Kamala lost because of, bigotry, racism, and misogyny, and that's straight BS. That's 100% BS. Was some of the people's voting motives, based on those things? Yeah, a minuscule amount, not enough to matter. It didn't factor in. What factored in is that the Democrats are on BS. They've done nothing but lie. They have backpedaled religiously. They propped up a president and obliterated him at the same time when he wouldn't adhere to what they wanted done there at the end. And then they plugged in their own candidate without a primary whatsoever and ran on identity politics the whole time. Identity politics. That doesn't work anymore. That's not going to work. Being on bullshit is not going to work. Trump is definitely not perfect, and there are policies of his I do not agree with 100% on at all. But like I said before, I'm an independent. That gives me the opportunity to go either way, to sway one way or another, depending on who comes with what. And I didn't even participate in this election. I didn't, for the reasons that I can't fully support Trump. Because I support the people I love first. And, granted, I'm hoping what he's doing, because I'm not an economist, I'm hoping what he's doing will actually work out. And I know people fearmonger. There are people who actually know what they're talking about, obviously, that are fearful of what he's doing as far as his cutting of all these departments, as far as what he's doing with these tariffs. And we're not even going to get started on the tariffs and Canada and their BS. That'll be left for another video. But as you can see, the Democrats, there's no consistency other than lies. They have consistently lied. So when they say stuff about Trump, some of the shit they told about Trump has been a straight up lie too. Many things they have said about him has been a lie. Amongst the truths of reasons why, that he was not the best candidate to be president again. But when you couple the truths they put in there with a bunch of lies, and the fact that they have completely changed where their stances are when it comes to the nation, and they try to jump back on ship there at the end. They try to rebrand Kamala, who is an extreme progressive, and they tried to brand her as a moderate. Did not work. Will not work. I don't care what anybody says. She literally stated, and she screwed herself over with this statement, that her values had not changed. Well, no, everybody knows what her values are. And they're not the values of a moderate or centrist. They're values of a far left progressive. So, lies. Fraud and abuse across the board. They raised, $1.5 billion in her campaign in a short amount of time, and it all gets wasted, and they still end up $20 million in debt. That is why the Democrats lost. That's why they lost the election. That's why they lost the House and the Senate. That's why they have nothing. They have control over nothing right now. And at the rate they're going, they're still not. In the midterms, they are SOL with the way that they're progressing, for lack of a better word, and no pun intended. They are still staying too far to the left. And, their infighting is also preventing them. There's no cohesion on the Democratic side whatsoever. So, the Republicans are happy. I know they are. MAGA's definitely happy. Hell, the left-wing, I didn't even know this was a thing until today. Left-wing MAGA supporters, I had never actually heard that terminology. I suspected it, but I had no idea it was an actual thing, And I knew there were leftists that had voted for Trump. There's a lot of people that voted for Trump, and they won't say it. They won't come out and say it. They even made jokes about Joe Biden and his wife voting because they were wearing red. MAGA red that day, as they called it, which is hilarious. Which probably isn't far from the truth, to be honest. It's a definite possibility. But, you know, the point that I'm trying to get at here that I've stated multiple times that a lot of people have brought into focus is that the Democrats base their entire world on a bunch of BS and Trump derangement syndrome, which I completely, they completely verify that this is a true thing because all they keep screaming is Trump is this and Trump is that and he's a threat to democracy and this is an existential threat and he's Hitler and all this stupid crap that nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. Nobody gives, or the mass majority of people don't care. They don't care about it. It's absurd. They care about how far their paycheck goes. That is the number one thing. And how safe is our country? The Democrats didn't give two shits about that. They didn't care about any of that. The only thing they played was Trump bad, we're better. And no, they're not. No, they're not. They're not better. They weren't better. Our options were horrible. For a multitude of reasons on both sides. Horrible. But Trump definitely, he has supplied better. He's doing better than they expected. And he will continue to do so. And the Democrats are going to fail. They're just, I mean, that's all. They're in a failing position anyways. That's why I call them the party of the obsolete. They are obsolete. 100% obsolete. And it's because of shit like this right here. That's where they used to stand, or at least they pretended to. At best / worst case scenario, they could have also been lying about that too, and just because I mean, politicians do that just to get your votes. They lie. They know which side of the bread to butter, and to get us all fired up and get or they used to, like the Democrats used to. The Republicans friggin' slayed it. They slayed it this year. I mean, absolutely slayed it. So kudos to them. You know, they've gotten Democrats to join Trump's cabinet. They got RFK and Tulsi Gabbard to jump ship and go to the other side. So kudos to those guys. You know, don't hesitate to comment down below and like, share, and absolutely subscribe.